Morning. It is the day after Christmas and I am out here at the range. My normal filming area is currently occupied, so I'm using a different bay and I'm staring into the sun. So forgive me for the glasses and the squinting. About 8 months ago, a little over 8 months ago, I did a review on my Springfield Kuna. I had the gun for about a month prior to release. At the time of that video, when I released the video, I had 1,243 rounds through it, I believe was the count, final count. And during my original review, I loved everything about the gun, except I was running into some magazine issues. I know a couple of people at Springfield, I talked to them, they were not really admitting to any kind of magazine issues. However, I can tell you for a fact that they have actually gone back and addressed the feeding issues that I was encountering, and I wasn't the only one. I think I was the only review that mentioned it at the time. They have gone back and they did exactly what I said they should do to fix the magazines, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Other than that, the gun looks a lot different from when I originally reviewed it. I have changed the stock that is on here. Yes, this is an SBR. It has been SBR'd. I changed the stock that is on it. Originally in the review, I was running the A3 Industries Haga Defense HD A3 stock. I still absolutely love that stock. However, this is my backpack gun. This is much thinner and smaller, and it fits in a backpack way easier than that HDA3. The HDA3, as far as shooting goes, is just a beautiful stock. I think I'm still running the same optic I had on it in the review. Haga Defense is the sole distributor or sole retailer selling this forend, and it's from a brand called Sky. It is a polymer forend extension. It uses the factory M-LOK mounts, and it covers the muzzle. If you're not running a can, you do not want to run this handguard. However, if you're running a suppressor, it does give you a lot more handguard to get your hands on. I've only had this handguard on here for a week. I haven't even shot the gun since I put it on. So I want to talk about a couple things. This is like my 9-month or 8-month update to this gun. This gun has probably in the neighborhood of about 6,000 rounds through it now. I've been using it quite a bit. We shot the hell out of it at the Boise Black Rifle Range Day. Anybody that was thinking about buying a Springfield was able to shoot this thing. I got a ton of rounds there. I've used it for shooting in action steel matches as my PCC.
Shoot ready! Stand by!
I carry it, it's my daily backpack gun. I absolutely still I love this gun. There are some updates that I've made that I think are noteworthy. And I'm going to talk to you about those a little bit more over at the bench here. Okay, so I've got two different guns out here. They're both early Kunas. This is mine. This is the one that I did the review on, and this one belongs to a coworker. His already has a couple upgrades that I will be doing to mine. So, HB Industries, they've been around for a while. I'm actually running quite a few of their products on my CZ Scorpion, has started making Kuna products. One of them is a stiffer recoil spring and a bolt limiter. It's a different buffer. So on the original recoil assembly in the Kuna, let me get mine opened up here and I'll show you. So the original recoil assembly looks like that. If you notice, the buffer here is almost double the size. So what that does is it's going to limit the distance at which the bolt can come back. This gun already has that installed, and as hard as I can pull back on the bolt, or on the charging handle, the bolt barely comes back just past the ejection port. On the other gun over here, it will go much further. So it is doing this setup here does two things. At least I've been told it does two things. I'm going to find out because I'm going to shoot these two guns back to back. With the stock recoil assembly, speaking of that, let me stick it back in here. And then with the HP Industries improved stiffer spring and bolt limiter buffer. So this gun has got the stock recoil assembly in it. The lefty setup gun here is running the short stroke buffer kit and stiffer spring. So I'm going to shoot them back to back. The theory and what I've been told by people who've actually shot them is this gun cycles a little bit quicker and shoots a little bit flatter because it's got less bolt movement. You can tell when you're charging the guns that the recoil spring is definitely stiffer in that gun, and it's very obvious that it travels significantly less. So that's one thing. Another thing, another real common complaint from people on the Kuna, and I completely agree, especially for people with short thumbs, but the one other complaint I was hearing is that the safeties are very stiff, and that is true. So HP Industries came out with two products to address that. One, they came out with, and I've already installed them on here, these are machined aluminum selector levers. You can buy one side at a time, you can buy them as a pair. They also make a delete. Any one of those is going to be an improvement over the factory levers. The factory levers are plastic. The selector barrel that goes through the middle of the gun here is what retains your trigger pack in the lower of the receiver. What you end up with is spring pressure pushing up on it, and then you have plastic on plastic friction that causes these selectors to kind of drag. So with the aluminum on plastic, there's less friction there, and then you have on this selector, I don't know if you can see it on the cell phone video there, but it's got a little bit larger ledge and it sticks out a little bit further. So you got more leverage, you got a better purchase on it, and you've got plastic on aluminum as opposed to plastic on plastic. Huge improvement there. Those are much better safety selectors. And then the last thing that I'm going to end up installing on mine is the rear pick rail from the factory. This guy back here, the very back end of the gun where the stock is mounted, and this gun is a brace because this is a pistol. That pick rail from Springfield, or from HS Product, is made out of plastic. I have not had an issue with it. However, if you watched Honest Outlaw's review of the Kuna, he dropped his, just kind of checking stuff, and when it hit the brace on the ground, it snapped off a chunk of that pick rail because it's just plastic. So HP Industries makes an actual machined aluminum one to replace that. So I will be replacing that on mine as well as the buffer system, most likely. All right, so those are the things that I'm changing here. Let's talk about what Springfield did. I have 2 generation magazines here, and it's easy to tell if you look up into the sun. So if I put this camera, this magazine, you can see the follower in here because the translucent body of the mag, you can see the follower's got that big cutout in the middle of it. This one does not have that. This is the old magazine, this is the new magazine. So let's take these two apart here real quick and I will show you the difference. This is something that I was told was not being done, but they did it anyway. So this one is the original mag. This one here is the new improved mag. So you can see the follower is about 1/4 of an inch longer, which is what I said they needed to do, needed longer legs. And then the spring is 1 inch longer, and it's made out of a thicker gauge wire. It's a stiffer spring. So those are the two things that I said when I tore my gun apart on camera. In the original review, I was trying to figure out why the mags were having feeding issues. I do think they could probably put a little bit stiffer spring in the magazines, and I think the magazine followers could probably use a redesign so that they have a little bit more of an anti-tilt property to them. Those are the two things I said would fix the problem, and Springfield ended up doing it, and my understanding is that problem has been fixed. So I bought one of the new generation mags and I have not used it yet. Today will be the first day I've used it. I still have 7 other of the original mags. Come on, there we go. So I've got a lot of the early mags. I wish Springfield would offer a magazine update kit, just the spring and follower, because my mag bodies, I have not had any problems. I have seen some reports of the mag bodies cracking in the back here, but I've dropped loaded mags on the ground. I have dropped these mags quite a bit. Like I said, this gun's got a ton of rounds through it. I have not encountered a single magazine cracking. I'm not suggesting that other people haven't. I'm just saying I have not encountered it. So that's the wrap up on the changes here. Let's do a little shooting. I want to compare these two guns back to back. Okay, so I've got both guns here. This one is this is my gun. It has the original factory recoil assembly in it, recoil spring and buffer. I'm going to shoot this one, and then I'm going to shoot my coworker's gun back to back, kind of flip them back and forth. My adult son is here with me today. I might have him throw a couple rounds through just to get his opinion also, just to see which one shoots better. It's not going to necessarily make the gun shoot different. It's going to have a different recoil impulse. So let me start shooting here a little bit. I'm going to go with, right off the top of my head, they are right. It definitely does cycle a little bit quicker. The gun seems to move around a little bit less on me. That's my opinion. Get your ears, come on over. Throw it back on safe. Now try this one. Yeah, you gotta work around his lefty garbage.
Yeah, that one's a little lighter.
Feels different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not just me, it's not just the people that make the product. It does feel noticeably different when you're shooting it. The gun's the same. The only difference is the recoil assembly, the spring and buffer. So I will definitely be updating this. The selector, I don't know if you saw him struggling with the factory selectors, trying to get it back on safe. That is a very common issue with the factory selectors. These HB Industries selectors are significantly easier to use. So something else to talk about too, both of these guns, like if you look at them next to each other, you can see the significant difference in handguard length. I mean, it's not super significant, but for a little 9mm PCC sized gun, it does give you a little bit more forend. It is a little bit girthy, but that's because they made it large enough to go over a suppressor. And it is made out of polymer, so it can't be as thin as aluminum could be. That said, it is stiff. There is no moving that thing around. My only complaint with this, one, these side screws here that mount, there's a big piece that goes back in there and sits in the M-lock slot of the original handguard that you have to put those screws into. It's not going to be a ongoing problem. It's just install was not super easy because you got to work those things back in there and you can't hold them while you're putting the screw in them, so it's kind of a pain. But once it's in there, it's nice and solid. My only real complaint about this is if you look right here, I got this little odd shaped slot. That should have been an M-lock slot if you ask me, because I would love to mount my light in that M-lock slot. I can't mount my light in this forward M-lock slot because my can is too close to it and the M-lock screws will dig into the can. So if the people from Sky are listening, that would be a huge improvement. Just change that to an M-lock slot. Other than that, digging this handguard. These selectors are incredible. In my original review video, I was kind of comparing this to my CZ Scorpion. I still love my Scorpion. This, especially in today's market, is a significantly better value. This gun's $1,000 without this brace on it, without the brace that comes on it. There's lots of braces available. There's lots of stocks available if you want to SBR it. I love my Scorpion, but Scorpions have gone up way in price. And in my opinion, when CZ changed from the Evo 3 to the 3 Plus, they screwed up. Not because I dislike the controls, but because they didn't make it backwards compatible with earlier magazines. So if you have a 3 Plus, you can't run a Magpul D50 drum in it unless you have it modified to work. 9-month wrap-up, 8-month wrap-up, still love this gun, carry it every day. Go get you a Kuna. You won't be unhappy. So that's my wrap-up. Great gun, still shooting great. I'm gonna make a couple more changes to mine, that recoil spring and buffer, and then that rear end plate, and keep on trucking. Same gun, the roller, jeez, stop yelling, Matt. I mean, he's left-handed, so what do you expect? And I'm not bashing left-handed people. One of my 3 kids is left-handed. We sometimes let him sleep in the house.